Welcome back to the Chicago Tomahawk. I'm Mike. I got my line mate Matt with me. And today, I want to give a quick shout out to our listeners. Thank you for listening. We're getting ready to start a new season. If there's anything from camp that you did not get caught up on, check out our previous podcast or let us know if there's something that you're looking for. Anyways, Matt, it's been a pretty short off season. I think that there was just kind of a ton going on this year. Did you have a quick off season, or do you think that it was kind of regular?
Yeah, I think it went by pretty quick too. There was a lot of interesting moves this summer, with the whole Flames ordeal and all like the DeBrincat trade and all the different shakeups in the league. I thought it kind of went pretty fast if you think about it.
Domi and Andres Athanasiou need to find a way to get some chemistry with Kane, man. I want to start this podcast off with probably what's going to be the top line for the Blackhawks going into the regular season. And to be honest with you, they've only played a few games together. And I think a lot of people, when they start playing with Patrick Kane, they think that whatever you do, just get this guy the puck, and when it's actually kind of the opposite, where Kaner kind of tells you, I'm going to be drawing a lot of attention and a lot of people are going to be coming to me. So that's going to give you an opportunity to kind of get open. Whatever you do, just get open and keep your stick on the ice. What's his name said? Dylan Strome. He said that, Kaner says, just put your stick on the ice, and he's like, he will get it to you. And you won't even believe it, how he does it. Do you think that with Athanasiou's speed and Max Domi's tendency to take shots, do you think that this is going to be a good line, or do you think that maybe they should split one of these guys up off this line? 2, 3.
Yeah, I think like Patrick Sharp said, don't overthink playing with Patrick Kane. Get him the puck or let him get you the puck. Don't make the extra pass. Keep it simple. I think the last preseason game, they were trying to be real fancy, like, oh, Patrick Kane's here, I want to try to make a pretty play, but you don't have to do that. Kane's going to, take guys away from you and give you more space. So these guys got to shoot the puck more than they have to pass it.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, man, it's probably one of those things where it's like, who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I to be taking the shot? And I think DeBrincat got over that pretty quickly. I think maybe him and Kaner came together and they were like, hey, you know what? This is what's going to happen. You get the opportunity, just fire it,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And that worked. It's really, I don't know, man. Wouldn't it kind of be hard to be like, okay, I'm a shooter, I'm a shooter now. So I'm just going to shoot the puck, even though Kaner can put up 40 goals a year,
Yeah, I mean, Kaner is going to draw a lot of defensive guys away from Domi, and Max Domi plays tough. People aren't going to want to they're not going to want to deal with him because he's gritty. He'll hit you.
Yeah.
And he's going to make his own space. So I know I'm not really good with this guy's name. I've heard his pronunciation be Anthony Athanasiou. I can't even say it. God bless you. But I'm really impressed with this dude's speed. He is a speedster, and I like this line. You got the elite talent of Kane, you got Max Domi, the grit, and you got this kid, the speed. And it's like what you need for like an ingredients for a perfect line. So hopefully they can get on the scoreboard, because I think we've been goose-egged the last 2 games, but I think if they need to develop chemistry, so leave them together. Don't really panic like our old previous coaches would do. They would change it up and not really give guys a chance to develop the chemistry together. You just have to keep doing it until it works. And, over time, there's only so much like, hey, we're not putting up any numbers. It's just not working. Then switch it, but give him a chance. I think Max Domi's going to be really good with Kane. I really do.
Yeah, that's a really good take. Athanasiou, and I think that I'm saying it right. I hope he's not like, Victor Stahlberg, who's all wheels, and no skill. I mean, I've seen him play before, and he's pretty talented, but I just hope it's not like a case of Victor Stahlberg. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. He was good, man. He was a speedster, but
Yeah,
like
he
you said, he
was.
had trouble finishing.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So Kevin Korchinski continues to play well in the, during camp, and he seems like a player beyond his years. Do you think that he makes the Hawks team at any time this season?
Well, this is tough because lately I've been preaching patience with. You might have to think like you get 9 games in the NHL. You're either going to keep him or you're going to send him back. I kind of like to see how he would perform against these other pros because right now he doesn't look like a rookie at all. He looks like a very confident veteran ready to take the reins. He's taking chances, he's pinching, he's making really good outlet passes to forwards. And I'm really impressed with his skating ability. I mean, I really didn't know what to expect with this kid, but I'm very, very impressed with this kid, and the future looks bright for defensive core.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, he might be a sure lock for next season, considering what he has done during this camp. Pretty impressed. He could have a year in juniors to kind of just maybe get his game together a little bit more, maybe add a couple pounds to his frame, but he might be ready for next season. Another guy that was sent to his junior team was, correct me if I'm saying this wrong, Samuel Savoy. He's someone that I know that you
Yeah,
really like, and he was assigned
that
to his
kid.
junior
Yeah,
team. Do you think that this kid, has a future with the team?
yeah. I think that he is the type of players that like Chicago fans would love. I don't know if you saw any of his clips. He was throwing his body around and he was just finishing checks. He's fast, laying guys out. I loved it. I think he was just picked up this year. I think a third rounder. I want to say I think he got sent down to the queue. So he's got some skill. I haven't really seen his numbers yet, but yeah, I think in a couple seasons maybe this kid will come up like kind of like an Andrew Shaw type of player, energy guy, and maybe one day he'll be in the top 6. But I think probably play a year of juniors, maybe next year compete for Rockford, and maybe they'll see something in him, call him up, and kind of be like an Andrew Shaw type of thing.
Yeah, he got his opportunity, man, and that was it. He didn't let it go, and
Yeah.
he stayed up. He stayed up, since then, and a lot of credit to him. So on the injury front, Boris Kachuk has an injury that will leave him out 4 to 6 weeks. It's an ankle injury, and it just seems that it just opens up the door more for Lucas Reichel to make the opening day roster. Do you think that there's any way Reichel is not on that opening night roster?
Oh man, I really don't know what the plan is. I personally would love to see Reichel because if anything, this is the only thing I would be looking forward to this season is watching Reichel develop. Like usually when you get an elite prospect that comes up, you're kind of rooting for him to get that rookie of the year and put up some points
Right.
and give you hope for the future. But I don't know what Davidson's plan is going to be with this kid. If they want him to develop again another year, but I could tell Reichel. I'm kind of jumping to our next subject here. When Reichel, he was kind of cherry picking a little bit, and Korchinski gave him a beautiful outlet pass from the defensive zone. And these two, it just reminded me of like early Duncan Keith hitting Kaner on the blue line for a
Yeah.
breakaway. And it's just like oh man, it's like a ray of like light, like, oh, there's hope, at the end of the tunnel for us. And I think Reichel's hungry for it. I think he wants to be up here. I think I think he's too good for the AHL right now, but there's really not much expectations here. So I mean, it can't hurt if he's up here. He's gonna learn the grind of an 82 season as a pro. He's gonna have Kaner with him. He'll have Taves with him, hopefully for the whole season. But with Kachuk out, I think why not bring Reichel up now? I think he's ready to go. He put up very good numbers with Rockford last year, and now just give him a supporting cast and give him some good line mates. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, I agree with you, 100%. Kind of back to the blue line, man, because I think that's, kind of where they're looking to build this team. And then they're going to fill in some of these other spots later on. But it looks like they're trying to get a strong defense. You got Alec Regula, Alex Vlasic, and Isaac Phillips, and they're all competing for a spot, possibly 2 spots on the defense. But Caleb Jones injured his shoulder, so all 3 of these guys might make the squad. Vlasic looked really good the last time that I saw him play, and Isaac Phillips didn't look bad, last year when I watched him play with the Hawks. I think he played, I think it was between 12 to 15 games with the Hawks, man, and he didn't look out of place. He looked pretty good. Regula was still developing, but even him, man, these are 3 big bodies that can skate and can play. What do you think about these 3?
Well, I was watching the game yesterday with my boys, actually, and they go, "Dad, who is that monster out there?" I said, "That's Alex Vlasic. This dude is just a freaking tower out there." And his reach, I noticed, like, guys weren't really, taking any chances getting around him because he's got like a Chara like figure to
Yeah,
me.
he does.
And it's just like, wow, man, where was this guy a couple years ago to match up Chara? That would have been awesome, like the battle of the freaking towers over here. But yeah, I think all 3 of these guys have a shot. I personally don't know why we kept Connor Murphy. I've never really been a big Connor Murphy fan. I mean, I think he's making what, 4 million, 5 million a year. I'd like to see these younger guys, that been in Rockford for a while, get a solid chance to, get a solid chance of 82 games and just to see what they got. I mean, there's like the expectations aren't high, so. But I just don't get, like, I guess we have to stay over the salary cap basement, and maybe they're keeping him for that reason. But I definitely think Vlasic will be on the team. And in the future, I could see Vlasic and Korchinski maybe even being like the next Keith Seabrook type of thing.
Absolutely. Actually, I think I mentioned this in a podcast or 2 ago. After the first camp game, actually, I'm sorry, it was in the prospect showcase. They played Vlasic with Korchinski heavily, and apparently they're eyeing these 2 to play with each other in the future because obviously Korchinski and he's got a great skating ability, and to Vlasic's credit too, for considering his size, he's got a great skating ability as well. But I think that he's more dangerous in the defensive zone because of his reach, and if he can pull a slap shot together, man, I bet he could really bring it, put some shots on net with that big. I think, what is he, like 6'7" or 6'8"?
It looks like he's 7'10" out there. He's just a monster. But I mean, it's weird because we're gonna be always comparing these young kids to like the Dynasty Day players. It's like Korchinski's gonna be like our Duncan Keith, and Reichel could be like our Taves, and that kid, what's his name, Frankie, that kid we just drafted, Vilantro or whatever his name is. Nazar. Wow, I'm way off. But he could be like your character guy, like your Patrick Sharp type of guy, and it's like it's going to be like this for me. It is, at least. And the only thing I don't like with our system is our goaltending, man. I just don't see anything for us. Like, I mean, that Drew Camisso guy that people keep talking about. But I mean, it's a different game, man. When you're in college, not many college goalies, take a jump to the NHL and they're successful.
Right.
So, I mean, I think they got to do a better job drafting some goaltenders.
Do you think it's the schedule? Like, it just doesn't translate from college to the pros for goalies?
Well, yeah, like if I listened to a Tony Amani podcast, and he was actually saying, well, college guys are playing on the weekends. They're playing Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, and then, they'll have one game during the week. But then you go into the pros, it's like almost, you think about it, it's almost could be every other day.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a big difference. And a lot of goalies, they're in the system for a while and they don't get their chance unless they're really good to So, like Corey Crawford, he came up late. He was like 25, 26 years old when he got his shot. And he's a good goalie, but by the time, he's in his prime, and it seems like it just goes by fast.
Yeah.
So, there's that Carter Hart that comes to mind from Philly. This guy's supposed to be the next Carey Price, and it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
It's
probably
just the Hawks don't have anybody.
It's probably too big of, they shouldn't be telling guys stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
No, that's the worst thing you could do is overhype hype a kid and he fails. Like kind of like what the Hawks media and the Hawks brass did to Kirby Dach. They're like, oh, this kid's going to be, and no, you don't know that yet. He's an elite junior player, but elite junior player in the NHL could be, a bottom 6 NHL guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just how it goes. But I'd like to see what I was really hoping for, man? I was really hoping the Hawks, with their cap space, would go after the Spencer Knight kid from Florida.
I was actually just going to bring him up.
Yeah, that's a guy like you'd want to draft. Like Florida, Dale Talon, that's another Dale Talon pickup. He saw an elite goalie, potential elite goalie starter, and he already has a $10 million goalie. I know he's not in the organization anymore, but he's thinking about the future. And I don't think Bowman really thought about the goaltending too much, and it's going to start hurting us, man. We're going to go through a lot of goalies in the next couple seasons, I think.
Do you I wanted to bring up, Arvid Soderblom I thought he showed a little promise last year. Looks like he's going to be starting in Rockford. Do you think that he should be backing up Mrazek this year to kind of get that experience, kind of see where he's at?
I don't think so. I think I would rather have him in Rockford getting close to 60 starts, maybe.
Yeah.
And, occasional call-ups like they did with Reichel last year. Like,
sure.
Give him a chance. Don't call him up against the Colorado Avalanche.
Right.
You want to call him up against, like a Phoenix Coyotes
or Nashville,
a bottom team. Yeah. I like that kid. He's big. I just you don't know too much about him yet. Yeah, I think he's going to develop a little bit. I think that Alex Stalock will be the backup, and Mrazek will be the starter. I'm not a fan of either, but I know what they're doing. They're just they're not saying they're tanking, but they could be, trying to get that first round pick because that Connor Bedard kid is the real deal, and he's a franchise guy, that generational talent. They're saying like a Connor McDavid, and he can really speed things up over here, I think.
The funny that you mentioned that, there's somebody I wanted to bring up that kind of just looking to see who's out there. Who if the Blackhawks don't get Connor Bedard, who could they pick up? And there's this kid Jaeger that I heard is really, really good. I'm trying to remember his name.
I heard like 4 players that are really franchise type of players, which is a great sign, because the last couple drafts have been kind of brutal.
Let me look him up really quick. Hold on. Jaeger prospect. I just thought Braden Jaeger. If that doesn't sound like a hockey star, I don't know what one does.
That's a damn good name.
But they said that this kid, he's kind of sitting at like the 7th to 5th pick that they're looking at. In the, as of right now in the rankings, obviously Connor Bedard is number 1, but they said that this kid would be a great pickup for the Blackhawks if they can't swing Connor Bedard. So actually what they're saying is that between like the first 5 picks, it's a win if you're one of those teams.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's most likely it will be a top 5 picks,
Right.
Which is a good thing. Of course you want Connor Bedard, but you never know. It's just luck. It's luck. It's not if you finished last year guaranteed this kid. It doesn't work like that anymore.
Right.
But I get it. They don't want teams to just sign beer league guys and get that first pick like the Oilers used to do, like all the damn time. But
yeah, That was brutal.
Yeah, I understand. I understand it. I hope we get a guy like Connor Bedard to really turn your franchise around. And I'm not saying it. I don't believe in the term speeding up the rebuild. I think it takes more than one player. Obviously, it took, in 2000 when we drafted Kane and Taves. It wasn't just Kane and Taves. It was Seabrook. It was Keith. It was Jarmelson. It was Sharp. It was a bunch of it. It just wasn't those guys. I mean, sure, they were big and they, the biggest parts of it, but we had good depth and we had Dave Bolin. We had a solid team, man. 2010, man, it was a solid stacked team. So I think it's gonna take more than a couple elite prospects. You got to fill in you just got to find the right guys. Like that Sammy Savoy, Sammy Savoy or whatever his name is.
Savoy, I think that's how you say it.
He would be a great energy guy, like an Adam Burrish guy, good guy in the locker room. He's got a little offensive touch to him, and he'll lay you out if you hold the puck too long. So,
if you really think about it, man, if the Hawks can build it up from the ground the way that they are, all that they'll need to do is really just buy a goalie, which is really what you can do,
Well, I mean, if the Hawks bought their goalie last time.
If there's one position that you could do, that would be it. Because you just don't know. When you draft a goalie, you don't know how that guy is going to do, No. I mean, I'm not saying that you know what you're going to get with any other position, but I think the goalie position is a lot harder.
Well, look back in the Hawks' history. I can only think of 3 goalies that they drafted that were just elite, and that's Tony O, Eddie Belfour, and Corey
Dominic
Crawford.
Hasek. Well, did they draft Hasek, or how did they?
Yeah, they did
in the 10th round, right?
They did draft him, and Eddie beat him out. I think the Hawks made the right choice. And it was really cool to see him go head-to-head in 1999 with 2 different teams in the Stanley Cup final. Dallas versus Buffalo, the huge game. I thought best goaltending duo I've ever seen. It was just great. Both of them were great. And you look as a Hawks fan, like, we had both of these guys at one time.
Yeah.
What the frick did we just do?
What did we get for him,
For Hasek, we didn't get anything.
Yeah.
We got just a fucking kick in the teeth.
Yeah.
Belfour, we got Chris Terreri.
Yeah, that's right.
Chris Terreri, and I believe we got like this guy named Ulf Dallin from San Jose. And that was just the Sharks they made the trade for him, and he ends up going to Dallas in the summer anyway. So
I loved his mask in San Jose.
Yeah, I thought his mask was great everywhere. He's
it was like icon. That teal, that teal and eagle, man. I was like, oh man, that's sick. Not as sick as the red.
There's no better. Yes, there's no better than the red. The Hawks red was just gorgeous, man.
Yeah, it was. All right, everybody. The Blackhawks' first game of the season is this Thursday, October 6th against the Wild. We'll see. Hopefully it's not too rough. Hopefully not too rough for them. But that is their first game. I'm excited for the season to start. I'm looking forward to seeing. I think Reichel's going to make the team. I'm sorry. The first game for the Blackhawks is next Wednesday, October 12th, actually, against the Avalanche. So they're going to stand there and watch the Avalanche raise their banner.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Usually those teams come out flat. I mean,
yeah, they do.
Sitting there for an hour, but watch the Avalanche defy that. They'll be like, "No, we're good." They're gonna come out scoring like every shot. I think it's gonna be a rough season for Mrazek. And he was really good with the Hurricanes a couple seasons ago, and
he was good with Detroit.
He was good. Yeah, I was just gonna say him and Jimmy Howard were holding down the crease, and they did a good job. But it's just gonna be a lot different this year, and I feel for the goalies, but it's going to be rough, really rough, I think.
So yeah, we got the Blackhawks preseason against the Wild Thursday, and then preseason against the Blues Saturday. Both games at 7, and then the Blackhawks versus the Avalanche is at 8:30 next Wednesday. So we'll see how these last 2 games go. We'll break those down. Just kind of what happens, see if there's any line changes at all, and then we'll get geared up for the season, right, Matt?
Yeah, let's go. I'm ready. I'm sick of hearing about this Bears shit all the time from people. I'm over it. Worst fan base in the city.
All right, thank you everybody for listening. If you have anything you want us to talk about, hit us up on Twitter at Shy Tomahawk, and we'll feature it on the show. Be sure to use our code Shy Tomahawk at Liquid IV for 50% off. Even though we're leaving the warmer season, going into the colder season, you still need to hydrate yourself. So you get 15% off if you use our code. Link is in the notes, and we'll see you on the next one. This is a Tomahawk, and we're out of here.